July 14th in St. Louis. Welcome into Daily Cards Live. I'm Matthew Roccio with Bob Ramsey here on ClaibsOnline.com. Rammer, how you doing today?
Doing well. Rocc, it's good to see you, my friend.
Great to see you, and we're here to talk a little Cardinals baseball here as the rubber match between the Dodgers and the Cardinals is tonight at 6:15. And how did we get to a rubber match after the Cardinals won Game 1? Well, they were up 6-0, and Adam Wainwright looked like he was cruising 5 1/3. No runs, just 4 hits. His pitch count was a little high, but he was able to hold down the best offense in baseball to no runs again through the first 6 innings. But then it goes pretty poorly from there. And it all starts with Drew Verhagen, gets hit for 2 earned runs. Genesis Cabrera gets beaten up as well. And then Junior Fernandez finally cracks after a really strong month plus of appearances for him. And then really one of the more inexplicable moves that I've seen, honestly, in the last 7 or 8 years of Cardinal baseball, but undoubtedly this year, the choice to go with Giovanni Gallegos in that situation, considering how much trouble he's had as of late. Just a poorly managed game, I thought. And again, I think that the more and more I see it, I'm not going to be harsh on Ali Marmol for decisions like yesterday with Jordan Hicks and Matthew Liberatore. But in game like that was a mismanagement of the bullpen 2 or 3 different times over.
Well, I'm going to slightly disagree. I think his hands were tied, but he did a reverse Houdini. He tied his own hands in previous games.
That's fair.
He's a reverse Houdini.
That's good. I like that.
So the big picture, you need another starter. The Cardinals would say, well, that's Steven Matz. And I would respond by saying, but we're playing now. He's not here.
Yeah.
So they're all a byproduct of being short in the starting rotation. Then the next mistake that affected last night's loss was Ryan Helsley saying he needed a day off. He said, well, you haven't even pitched that much. And he hasn't. So there's a little bit of a question there. But it's either 2 of 5 or 3 out of 4. There's some in his last number of games, multi-inning usage in a game. Apparently, there's just a difference in philosophy. If I've got a closer, I'm only going one. Am I in lockstep with the Duncan LaRussa and then the idea of that modern closer? By modern, I say between 85 and 2010. Yeah, get the lead, come in, 1, 2, 3, you get the outs. 1 inning guy. It really started with Eckersley, and so I agree with that philosophy. The Cardinals would counter. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't really have a closer. And I would counter by saying, then you're not going to get in the playoffs. And moreover, you won't win the World Series. Next topic. You got to have a closer. Now, you can change your closers depending on performance and health. Happens all the time with championship teams. Even though the Cardinals didn't win the World Series, 85, Worrell for Lottie. 86, Wainwright for Isringhausen. And we could keep going. It happens. But to say we don't have a guy to go to and we'll see who's available on a given night, that will not work. You can tell me about all the metrics you want to tell me. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and he brought up the 2 1/3 inning for Helsley, but I mean that's 4 appearances ago. In the post, I thought that was kind of a weird mention from Marmol, bringing up the 2 1/3 when he's gone just 1 inning flat his last 3 appearances. And
right, I agree with you.
That was an odd pick from him.
But yeah, and so if that was the problem, and you kept using him, now because he didn't, supposedly Helsley said he didn't feel like he could go.
Yeah, the way that Marmol phrased it was when a guy tells you he's down, he's down.
He's down. Got to respect that.
Yeah.
But the usage leading into that, now who's the other guy that you like the most as a closer? I'll tell you who you like. Jordan Hicks. Oh. Why didn't you use him? Because you started him. Wait a minute. Hadn't we already determined this year with hardcore data that he's not a starter? Yeah, well, we were only going to use him for an inning or blah, blah. You started him. He's a reliever. Didn't we already learn that? Yeah, but Libertor could. That's a different topic. Libertor's a different topic. If he's a starter, but you're afraid to start him, what's he doing here? So, see, all these things end up presenting you with the problems you had last night in the comeback victory for the Dodgers. Giving all those things, I thought the actual usage of players
Really?
was okay last night, given his hands were tied, but by recognizing that he tied him himself.
My issue with last night is not coming back out with Packy Naughton, only using him for 2 outs. I think you could probably get another 2 outs out of him without really straining his arm that much more. And then I understand pitching for Hagen in the situation you're at. You need to get some innings out. You're up 6-0. It's later in the game.
Yeah.
That's when you use Verhagen. But my problem with Genesis Cabrera is that one of two situations when Genesis Cabrera should have been used last night, and it was in the 8th or ninth inning specifically, or in a higher leverage situation earlier against some of those left-handed pitchers at the top of the lineup. The timing and usage against this specific part of the Dodgers lineup, which was the very bottom of the lineup, with Genesis Cabrera, I thought that was a
You
complete
thought he was kind of
mismanagement
wasted
of
there?
your. Yeah, I think taking one of your most high lever pitchers, a lefty against a power lefty lineup, and using him in the situation he did at the bottom of the order. Yeah, Max Muncy had a big game, but he was pulling walks and getting a sac fly, and he gets a single up to Cody Bellinger, who's a 212 hitter. It was disappointing to use Cabrera, who felt like in that moment when Gallegos is questionable and Helsley's down, and you don't have Hicks. It seems to me that your most high leverage end of game pitcher should be Genesis Cabrera. I mean, I think that's a fairly logical conclusion.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you.
to use him in that situation, I thought was almost as bad as any other movement where that led us to this situation. And then obviously the one I think is inexcusable. I mean, it's the regular season version of Michael Wacha against the Giants going to Giovanni Gallegos last night. It was a fait accompli. As soon as I saw it happen, it was okay. This ball game's over. They're going to lose this game. It's one of the few times I've ever been that condition to be like, yeah, this game is over. They are losing this one. It's a comeback for the Dodgers. And I don't understand the usage of Gallegos in that situation, not just because of where he's at right now. He blows his 6th save of the year, and the 3 of those blown saves are in his last 9 appearances, I think. He's not a high leverage pitcher right now. Honestly, he probably should have been the Packy Naughton situation, even though maybe that's a little bit too early for the role. But I would have liked to see him in those 2 outs to get Packy. Then you give Packy an inning later on in the game after you give Verhagen one, just to see where you're at.
Yeah, see, first of all, I agree with that. But you're thinking outside the restrictions of the conventional wisdom box that comes from the suits.
Yeah.
I agree with you. If these are the pitchers I've got, what's the best way to use them? And I like the way you came at it. But
this is what happens when you get weaned on baseball by late era Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan of let's use every single pitcher we have in whatever role we decide because it's the best role for them.
Yeah. And I agree. And so shifting those same guys around, there's no way to prove it, but I am with you. I think you probably would have had a better outcome, but I do understand managing out of fear in that, gosh, he's not been very good, but he's the only guy that has been able to close games at all. Probably not fair. Maybe one of those other guys could have done it. They've probably earned an opportunity to do so. So I don't disagree with you. I think those are good points.
And I think the only thing that you could be said about like Adam Wainwright's performance, I bet if you asked him, he would say something awesome like, I should have gone 7 or something like that. He was so incredible again, and to watch them let that slip out of his hands, it's such a bummer. There's so many games, not just this season, but over the years, where they've just completely they've just not gotten the W for Adam Wainwright, and last night was another great example. He was incredible. Yeah, he wasn't the most economical, but I mean,
yeah,
with what he has to do against that lineup, with the way he has to make these guys work, he's got to go up and down. He's got to go outside. He's got to make those hitters work, else they're going to beat him up. And so I just don't know if at his stage if he's going to be able to get through a Dodgers lineup at a 12 to 13 pitch per inning pace. He just has to be a little bit more crafty against those guys. So you're not going to get him through 7 because he's not going to get through 7 under 100 pitches against that specific lineup. It's not the Phillies. It's not the Reds.
And especially when he's not quite perfect.
Yeah.
It's a testament to him to not be perfect and still navigate that lineup and have him shut out for 5 innings. I agree with you. It was not his best performance, but it was really a remarkable one.
And let's talk about today's game. Obviously, it is the rubber match now, trying to take the series. Here are the Cardinals. It's Dakota Hudson, the righty, obviously facing off against a lefty for the Dodgers and Tyler Anderson. Here is the Cardinals lineup. Leading off and playing shortstop, it is Tommy Edman, Dylan Carlson in the 2-hole at center field, Paul Goldschmidt, and Nolan Arenado in their usual spots. Batting 5th is Albert Pujols, again as the DH. No surprise there with a lefty. Tyler O'Neill, who's been activated off the 10-day DL.
Hey.
He is in the starting lineup. How about that? He's batting 6th and playing left field. Little surprised by that, honestly, that they wouldn't start him off in the DH. Juan Yepez batting 7th in right field. Brendan Donovan also back from illness. He is starting at second base, batting 8th, and then Andrew Kisner, the backstopper today, batting 9th. For the Dodgers on the other side, again, facing off against Dakota Hudson. Mookie Betts leading off, playing right field. Trey Turner at shortstop, batting 2nd. Freddie Freeman. Will Smith is the catcher. He'll be batting cleanup. Justin Turner is the DH, batting 5th. Lamb left field out there for the Dodgers. Muncy at third base, batting 7th. Cody Bellinger at center field, and then Gavin Lux, the lefty, is the second baseman, batting 9th for the Dodgers. So a lot of lefties, obviously, again for the Dodgers against Dakota Hudson. But the interesting things here for the Cardinals has to be both Tyler O'Neill and Brendan Donovan making their return to the starting lineup.
Yeah, Donovan was slumping a little bit before he got sick. So hopefully he can have a bounce back, even though he's facing a left-hand hitter. I don't think he cares who's throwing. He's going to give you good at-bats. And it's unreasonable, I imagine, to expect O'Neill to be hitting like he was before he got hurt. But we can hope, right? I know I've often said hope is not a plan, but I can still hope anyway. Yeah. And see what they got. And confidence in Yepez against the lefty in right field. Yeah. All good.
Yeah, again, I guess, if it's a righty, maybe they find a way to get O'Neill in there as a DH because they don't have Pujols in there as a DH. Maybe that's the kind of break there. But I'm a little shocked that O'Neill, coming off of a muscle injury, is going to come right out of the gate in left field. But I mean, specifically, they go with Pujols last night against a righty. Obviously he's going to be in the starting lineup against lefties too. He's gotten a little bit of a groove.
He's hot.
And I expect we're going to see him pretty much against anybody right now, lefty or righty.
While he's hot.
Yeah, while he's hot. And you know what? Ride the hot hand, I'm okay with it. Not just for the nostalgia factor, but the DH has kind of been a bum spot for them, outside of Juan Yepez. And so I say roll with it.
Yeah, I think so too. The other thing to keep an eye on, if you hear an explosion in the metro area, mainly south of St. Louis, that will be using Ryan Helsley multiple innings or in a non-save situation. You watch, that's going to happen.
Oh,
the Cardinals
no.
are going to be behind, and they're going to use Helsley. And you'll hear the explosion.
Yeah, that'll legitimately bother me.
It'll be a nuke site.
That's the kind of mistake rookie managers make, and it's the littlest thing where it's like you have 162, and so it feels like you can play around a little bit and take some chances and maybe push some things. But when you have a W in your hands, especially against a team like the Dodgers, you cannot let that slip away. Especially when you're talking about a team right now that isn't playing up to snuff and probably shouldn't even have the amount of wins they do have, if you ask me.
Well, we're kind of it's my fault belaboring the Helsley thing, but here's the deal. We know now he's delicate, and That's not a shot. He's had 2 surgeries. Yep. Okay, he's delicate. So you don't pitch him multiple innings, and you don't pitch him when it's not a save situation. Oh, what if we're 1-1 late? I don't care. Now, except where you don't want him to get rusty. If you're blowing out people or you're getting blown out, winning 5 runs, and it's 4 or 5 days, and he needs a little bit of work, but he won't be effective. Closers aren't effective when it's not a closing situation. That's the mentality. Anybody who's followed baseball history knows that, but that's okay. You want to keep him fresh without overusing him. I mean, I feel bad that most of Cardinal management and coaches weren't around for the La Russa Duncan heyday. These are the things you have to know. You have to know these things. But you watch and see. He'll be used tonight in a non-save situation, and you'll see it on the news later.
Okay,
you'll see the crater where my house is later.
So here's the question that I have for you. I don't care about the final score. I don't care about calling who hits a home run. Who is the first Cardinals reliever out of the bullpen tonight?
Easy formula, and I wish I had the roster right here in front of me, because what Ali has inadvertently done with quite a bit of help / pressure from front office. What he's done, and he should go ahead and address it. Here's what we have now in St. Louis. We have a 2-platoon bullpen.
Essentially, yes.
You got 4 guys one night, 4 guys the next, and you got 1 or 2 that you don't mind burning out that could go with either. You've got a 2-platoon bullpen, which is insane.
So essentially, is what you're telling me is that if you can find somebody to take a bet on Johan Oviedo first out of the pen, put your mortgage on it. Is that essentially what you're getting at? No, he didn't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He was part of the 7-man. He was part of the 7-man, parade on Monday. He was the second pitcher out after Hicks.
Oviedo and Helsley are locks.
Liberatore.
Oviedo and Helsley are locks, right? 2 platoon.
I mean, I think so. Dakota gets you 5. Oviedo gets you, 1 2/3. Helsley then probably gets used at that point when it's not a safe situation. And now it's if you're in the lead, it's
Cabrera.
Would it be? I would hope so, but God, it would. Oh, I would throw something. I would throw something at my TV if it's. Oh God, I have no idea. I have no idea.
You'd probably throw it better than Gallegos.
I mean, it's
That was a cheap shot. I'm sorry. I like Gallegos, but he's just not in the right spot right now.
Legitimately, I guess McFarland's active now. He's getting an inning tonight.
He'll get in there.
Yeah, TJ McFarland's definitely pitching tonight. It's going to be Oviedo or McFarland. We'll see how they.
Oviedo, McFarland, Helsley. Book it, folks. Book it.
Yeah. Okay. It's a Dakota Hudson start. That's not going to get you there, Rammer. Just trying to be honest on that one. The chances are that's not completely going to get you there. We'll see what happens here between the Dodgers and the Cardinals. Like we said, it is the rubber match between them. We'll see what happens here. The Cardinals trying to continue clawing towards that third wild card position. They're 48-43 this season. We'll see what happens tonight between the Dodgers and the Cardinals. That is Bob Ramsey. I am Matthew Rocc. We will be back tomorrow with another edition of Cards Live as they start the last series before the All-Star break. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Royal Banks of Missouri and Munganast St. Louis Acura. Check them out. You need to do some banking. You need a new car. You need to get your car fixed. There's no place better than Royal Banks of Missouri and Munganast St. Louis Acura. Rammer,
buy your car and get your loan from Royal Banks.
Buy your car, get your loan. There it is. I got it. Okay. Buy your car and get your loan. Royal Banks, Missouri, Munganast, St. Louis, Acura. Rammer, thank you so much for your time today. You have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
St. Louis Acura has almost 200 pre-owned vehicles in stock with inventory arriving daily and can offer the best trade-in value. While others raise their prices and fees, we choose to earn your repeat and referral business by not taking advantage of the current market situation. We invest in our team, becoming one of St. Louis's top places to work and fastest growing companies. St. Louis Acura remains committed to becoming better than ever for you. Located at Manchester and Mason Roads.